the Eton FRX3 from the Eton Corporation. Solar-powered emergency radio. Check out some of the specs and how it's performed for me so far. Stay tuned. This is the FRX3 from Eton, emergency solar-powered hand-cranked radio. Go over some of the specs. I've had this now for 6 or 8 months, taken on several camping trips, and obviously it's not a backpacker or a an emergency like throw in your backpack kind of bug-out radio. Mostly suited for keeping it home in case the power goes out, or taking on a car camping trip, which is what I've done with it a few times. So it is a AM/FM weather band radio. It has 7 weather bands. It has an internal battery in it, and it also accepts 3 AAA batteries, which it can run off of as well. It has a light, 2 LEDs, or 1 red flashing LED. Has a metal kind of standard, transistor radio style antenna. It has an alarm, and it does have a clock. The clock you can't turn off, so it stays running all the time. So how well does it work for me? So it takes about 8 to 12 hours to fully charge that internal battery off of the solar panel. And it gives you a display right there. Right now it's on dynamo, which tells you the charge of the internal battery. If you push this battery button right here, that gives you the charge of the 3 AAAs, which right now it's at 2/3. This button here takes it back to the charging of the dynamo. So if we turn it on, speaker's decent for an emergency radio. That's FM. I don't have an AM station tuned in right now. Kinda. And then it has all of the weather bands.
69. Portland, sunny, 68. Cookeville, Sparta, sunny, 68. Shelby.
And 1 minute of cranking on the dynamo here gives you about 10 minutes of runtime on the radio. So you can charge that internal battery by cranking it. I don't know if you can see the little meter right there going up. Or like I said, you can charge it solar powered. And it doesn't take a whole lot of sunlight. Like if you just put it in a sunny room, that battery will charge. And when I've had it out, I've had the internal battery fully charged, and the radio ran for about 8 hours before I started to, by that time it was nighttime, so I had to start cranking it to use it. You can also charge the internal battery by plugging it into a wall, a cigarette lighter, by using these ports right here. So you have DC in to charge the battery, uses the a mini USB. I wish it was micro, but it uses the mini. It also has a jack for headphones, and it has a jack auxiliary, so you could use this strictly as like a speaker if you wanted to plug in like an MP3 player or something like that. And this also has the capability to charge your smartphone. And it won't charge the cell phone off of the AAAs. It'll only charge it off of a fully charged internal battery, the dynamo reading on the top of the screen there. And on a full charge of the internal battery, it will charge my cell phone almost 100%. It's not a very big battery in there, so don't expect to get a whole lot out of it, but it will work. I'll show you right here. Here's my phone. I will plug it in. And then there's a button on the top. The buttons are kind of in a bad spot here, being underneath that solar panel, but there's a button right here for cell. So I'm going to turn that cell button on, and my phone should. Yep, and now, if you can see it right there, it is charging the battery on my phone. So it will charge a smartphone. And now see, just by plugging that phone in, suddenly the dynamo reading is down to 1. Now this wasn't fully charged, it has been sitting in a fairly dark room for a few days. So I wouldn't expect that to be fully charged. It discharges just running the clock and whatnot. Now how long it'll run off its AAA batteries, I have not tested. I don't know the answer to that, and I couldn't find any documentation saying that it'll last 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever, off of the AAAs. I would expect it to last several hours off the AAA batteries, just based on any kind of radio that takes AAAs. Again, like I said, it does have an alarm, so you can set an alarm for it. Obviously, it has a clock. Now, there's no, if the dynamo goes dead, and if you don't have batteries in it, obviously the clock will go. You'll have to reset the clock. But the reason I like this is a couple things. It does charge my cell phone. It does recharge relatively quickly. Like I said, 8 hours in the sun. If you run it, in the evening, around a campfire or whatever like that, set it out in the sun in the morning, and by the time you're ready to use it, even having it running, it'll still charge the battery while you're listening to the radio or to keep your weather band on. It also has an alert feature, so if you have it set to your weather band, you turn the alert on. If a weather alert does happen, it'll immediately turn the radio on and give you that alert. It'll give you the tone, and then give you the alert. This thing did win like the one of the top products of 2012 or something like that. It's pretty good radio. It's been good for me. The light's not great, but it does have a light, and the signaling feature on the red is pretty handy. But again, not a backpacking radio. Like I said, more of an at-home emergency radio, or like I said, car camping. I've had no issues with it. I've heard some people say that there's some issues with the antenna on all of the Eaton radios. Apparently they slide out of the back. I haven't had any issues, but I take pretty good care of it. I don't bang it around a whole lot. Like I said, I wish it was micro USB and not that mini USB, but that's okay. I have an older MP3 player that uses that same plug, so I have a couple of different adapters for the house and for the car. And you can charge it off a cigarette lighter, so if you want to, you go to bed, you plug this into your vehicle, and while you're sleeping, it'll also charge that internal battery. So 3 ways to charge the battery, which is nice. It'll charge a smartphone, AM, FM, the weather bands are great, the speaker's not bad. It does have all the tuning capabilities over here to tune in the stations, your volume right here. To set the clock, you've got the up and the down, the button for the alarm to turn the alarm on or off, and to set the alarm. I've seen it range anywhere from $50 to like $60 online. I think I picked it up for about $50. Eton or Eaton, I'm not exactly sure how they pronounce it, but they do make a few other radios, a smaller version. They make one that even has like a carabiner clip where I guess you could clip on the back of a pack so it could charge as it's hanging off the back of your pack, which is nice. No complaints about the radio at all. It's worked great so far. Like I said, taking it on, I don't know, maybe half a dozen camping trips. This last trip, I used it a lot. I listened to it almost all evening. Like I said, not till the very end did I have to crank it to charge it. About a minute of cranking did give me about 10 minutes of radio life. So there you go, just a short video on this radio, the Eton FRX3. If you have any experience with this radio, leave a comment down in the bottom. I'd like to hear what other people think of it. And as usual, please like, share, definitely subscribe to my channel. This is PA Outdoors. Get outside, enjoy the weather, but remember, be safe out there. Thanks for watching.